Do you want me to go first, Max?
Sure.
Okay, give is at the top for sure. You can't get anything if you don't give. You have to. I mean, like every meeting I ever have with anybody, I always end the meeting. So how can I help you? Like, what can I do to help you today or with what you're working on? And then I always just brainstorm and think through what it is they're working on and what I have with it, whether it's just one introduction or just something I always give first if I can.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning back into the podcast. I want to give this a really quick introduction, then I want to dive right into the show because this is one of my Throwback Thursday episodes. I did this episode last March at the House of Pod. It's a podcasting community / production house out of Denver. Man, a super nice setup. It's not that it's like this crazy posh place, but it's this place that has a lot of great character. And the owner, Kat Joffrey, man, she's awesome. And she's really deep into the whole podcasting world. So if you're in Denver and if you're looking for a good place to go record an episode, or you just need to check out some, really cool podcasts, I highly recommend that you reach out to the House of Pod. Those guys are awesome. I've done a couple shows there since, and whenever I'm in town, I try to record there. So anyway, quick plug for those guys because I think they're great. And, you just heard a quick clip from Kat Joffrey where she was talking about how she believes in really giving. And we touched a little bit on her grit. But this episode is going to be more so about just how, podcasting is really this media that really moves with you. And, things that people aren't realizing that's happening with these smart speakers and all this other type of audio adoption that's happening around us is that these things are catching on faster than the iPhone did. And I think people are really beginning to understand the convenience factor that happens with audio. That's just, it's real. I mean, and so what we're up to at Sales Culture, obviously, is to help employers build up their own brands internally and externally. And this is just one honest way that you can have your employees, I should say, share their honest stories about their experience working with you guys. And I think there's no better way. I mean, you want to talk about attracting top talent. I mean, just be honest about what's happening on a day-to-day. If you have a great work environment, you can share those things, right? And so I think there's a lot of things that are going to be happening. The branding play from employers, that if they want to try to draw people, is going to go way beyond having a cool foosball table or passing out, happy hours, every Thursday and giving away free drinks. That stuff's cool too. But I think the real nuts and bolts are people want to do meaningful work and they want to do it with good people. And so if you can share those stories and you have good people on your team, why not podcast? That's my own pitch for my own plug. With that, I'm done. I want to thank you guys for always tuning in. Please subscribe so you can stay tuned into the latest and greatest of things that we're up to. And if you're in LA on June 12th and June 13th, please come on out to the DigiMarkCon event. I'll be hosting the podcasting piece there, interviewing people around there. If you're going, please reach out to me. Let me know. Drop me a line on LinkedIn. I'm primarily playing on LinkedIn these days. So I'm at Joe Lemon. Joe Alex Lemon is my LinkedIn URL handle. You can find me there, or you can find me at Joe Alex Lemon at whatever social media platform that you use. And I'll check in on my Twitters and my Instagram at whenever I can, and hopefully I'll catch your message there. So with that said, guys, sit back and enjoy this episode with Kat Joffrey and her good friend Max at the House of Pod.
It is cool. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, it is cool. So animals here, I think also just being in Colorado, you can be so close to nature. And so it's my personality. It's who I am. There's like a lot of decisions that you make as you get older about the life you're going to lead. And I know for me, I had a much older father. He was born in 1925.
Wow.
So he loved telling stories, a lot like Kyle. And so I knew I always wanted to be working with stories. And then for my personal life, their animals are a must. It's like how I get through everything. So
beautiful. So that's a perfect lead in. So let's talk about what the House of Pod is really up to. I mean, like, why did you say podcasting community? Like, what was that about?
Well, it's funny actually to have Max here because he, as I mentioned, we reconnected about 3 years ago, and he witnessed me through this whole time just obsessed with podcasts, always talking about podcasts, wanting to make podcasts.
Listening to them constantly.
You become addicted to this stuff.
You do, yeah. And the biggest thing that I was experiencing is all the places I was all the places I was working at the time. I kept trying to bring in a podcast, and nobody wanted it. They didn't think it was a priority compared to the other work that I should be doing. And more and more, I was like, I'm going to leave this. I'm in marketing.
Yeah.
And I had decided I'm going to leave marketing and I'm going into podcasting full time. And so I enrolled in a podcasting course and I went and it was amazing. And I had this incredible experience and I left and I was waving goodbye to my teacher and these tears started rolling down my face and they didn't stop for 2 days. Like no matter what I did, I just could not stop crying. I was eating at a hotel bar because I had to go fly to Ireland for work. And I was working through the night to get everything done for the project I was joining. And as I was working on something totally different, nothing to do with radio anymore, I said my goodbyes. There's just a constant run of tears. Like, how could I leave this behind? And I think that's because as I was doing this, it occurred to me how lonely podcasting was. It's like they were setting you up for this lifetime of like isolation. Yes, you get to talk to people when you're doing an interview, but the editing, the feedback as you're developing your idea, trying to figure out if something is good or not, the concept, doing your research, everything outside of the interview is so lonely. And it's this social collaborative thing, but it's not at all. You're like talking in your closet where there's good sound and insulation or underneath, a sheet and you're sweating and you're like, why am I doing this? And is anyone even listening? Right. And it seemed like this was this booming industry without community spaces to listen to podcasts together, to get feedback, to collaborate, to come together around shows and good ideas. It seemed like we were missing something. There was a hole. And so pretty much within a week of finishing this course, I made a declaration to myself and the people in the course and anyone that would listen that by the end of the summer, I was quitting my job for good. I was starting something called House of Pod, and it's a podcasting co-working space production company and education center to build communities in places where there aren't around audio and podcasting in a formal way. So like on the coasts, more like in New York, maybe a little in LA, definitely in San Francisco. There are a little bit more established communities around podcasting and radio to some extent. Out here in Colorado, it's pretty slim, and even Denver is like a pretty big hub. I can imagine other locations where you would really feel quite isolated. And so my goal was to start here in Denver and then spread the model to other cities around the country that have House of Pods.
Man, that is so true. Podcasting can be lonely. So I've been doing podcasts now for about 8 months, and I meet a ton of people. But it's like on me to make sure that we build a relationship. I like that shit, so that's what I do anyway. So I will form some other ways that we can have dinner, coffee, whatever. And but as far as like just doing the podcasting itself, man, you're in a cave.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And so it's so cool that you're going to bring people together now so people can really do it as like a group. And even in some of these larger cities like LA, New York, I mean, if you guys go out there, what's interesting about those cities is that they seem like they really should be the place where everybody meets up and everybody huddles up. But more people just means sometimes more people will just go off in isolation.
More anonymity.
Absolutely. And so that's nice that it's starting in, well, you guys are kicking this off in like Denver.
Yeah, and I have to say the community here is fantastic. Like just as an example, we held a woman in podcasting panel on like a random Tuesday with 4 days notice, and 150 people showed up. Yeah. It was fantastic. And the pop-up space where we held it is this weird, very cool DIY space called Deer Pile, where there's literally images of deers humping each other behind you as you're performing. And
have you been there, Max?
No.
I almost didn't believe it. I'm like, has somebody else seen this?
It's Deer Pile.
Wow.
But we were told that we had the biggest audience ever for that space. And the only one that came close to us is when Dave Chappelle held a pop-up show.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
the staff and everybody came up to occupy that. So the fact that people turn up and turn out for things here in Denver is pretty fantastic. And I know that that's not a luxury that other places have, but because we have a tight-knit community, because people are really excited about this, like they show up. Like in 2 weeks, we have We have an audio scavenger hunt happening here at House of Pod where we're sending everybody out to find sounds, but of other things. So it's like find something smelly, find something young, find something old. And we're capturing the sounds on people's iPhones or smartphones or recorders or whatever they have. And then we're layering everything together in an evening activity. And we've already gotten so many people who have RSVP'd for this like weird audio event on a random Tuesday night.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, so what's so cool about growing in audio, at least what I've seen, is that, man, you could, once you start linking up with people, especially, online basically, and you have this audio experience with them, you guys feel more connected than as if we just liked each other on like Instagram.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you may tune into a couple YouTube videos or whatnot, and that's cool. So you might feel like you know me and my wife, whatever. But it's not the same, or it's a different level of engagement.
It is.
So those are some really cool tactics to really help get the word out. Are you guys doing anything else? Are there any other major activities that are going on?
We have some. So we offer free classes and workshops every Tuesday night.
Super smart.
Right now. So we have like a podcasting 101.
Mm-hmm.
We have a podcasting residency. So this is for people to apply. They get 2 months free membership, and in exchange, they teach alongside us at the classes, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
We have our membership program, which is essentially like the back door to be able to come in and use the space unlimited. And then everything else we do by the minute. So you can rent the studio and it's $1 a minute.
Oh, it's easy.
And for that, we just ask for people to do it on appointment basis. And so that's kind of our business model. And then on our production company, I can't tell you yet, but we have signed. Yeah, I heard something.
That was me, I guess. Maybe. Sorry.
It's like so quiet. But
It's beautiful.
there was actually a time where, I'll get back to it, but there was a moment where all of our cell phones, whenever someone would come in and their cell phone wasn't on airplane mode, you would hear them crackle in the mics.
Oh, really?
And we were like, this is so weird. But yeah, we can't announce formally, but currently we're working on developing the branded podcast for 2 digital magazines.
Wow.
Which is pretty dope.
That is super dope.
Yeah, we've got some other projects in the wings. So soon, House of Pod will be pumping out all kinds of original podcast series and branded podcast series. We have a lot happening.
So, all right, I know you got to run at like 1 o'clock. I want to totally respect that. But I got three more questions. They'll be quick too. First one for each of you guys. What's your favorite podcast right now? That's so bad, right? Everybody who's with you, everybody comes in here.
No, we do that like for every meeting. I'm just laughing because I have subjected Max to so many podcasts, but I don't know if he actually has a favorite.
Favorite one depending on the day.
Yeah, I think your favorite is Two Dope Queens.
Ah,
I made him listen to so much Two Dope Queens. I love Two Dope Queens.
Solid though.
They are. They're amazing.
They're solid. Man.
Like it just doesn't get old. Like there's what they do. Like I think they've done more for women in comedy and women of color and people of color than like. For sure, I mean, bless Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Like, they're great individual comics, but these women, as they rise, they bring everybody with them.
They're just leveling up the whole show.
They level it up, and they show how cool it is. And they just make things that people, like, there were so many barriers, and they just make it a little bit easier for others. And that is, like, if I could do just a fraction of what they've done for other people, like, I will be very satisfied with my life.
I get where you're going already with this.
I know.
I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I love Two Dope Queens.
Yeah, you are though.
I was gonna say the Daily because I think it's really fun reporting.
Daily's good too. Yeah, I like the Daily. Yeah.
I viscerally love Two Dope Queens.
Man, there's just something about comics and like podcasting. Those guys I feel like they have a leg up. I'm like, man, you guys, this is your space. This is your world. It's almost like a mime in like doing movies, right? You know what I mean? It's like,
it's the thing that what people want to hear in entertainment, the audio entertainment. We've got comedy. It's
escapism a little bit. Get out of there.
Exactly.
Okay, but my thing about Two Dope Queens is not even the comedy is necessarily that good. It's like, I mean, it's great. It's comedy. Comedy is comedy, but
it's like conscious comedy too.
It's conscious comedy. It's like what they have done for others. It's
a lighthearted approach, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the stuff though, like if you like, there are things I listen to and I'm like, ooh, you go, like it's so good. They just like get after it, and they go into taboo topics all the time that aren't necessarily lighthearted, but I think they do it with a certain grace. I mean,
It makes it more approachable.
It does make it more approachable. But okay, not to say, like, I love, like, the call I have afterwards is with the team from Pantsuit Politics. I think they're doing crazy good work. And like, same goes for, like the call. I love her. She does amazing work. Like, we have some really amazing people who are rising in podcasting that they're icons to me. And even locally here in Denver, like, I'm thinking of the Colors podcast, and Changing Denver is really good. The Denver Orbit. Like, we have some really amazing people and amazing issues that people aren't shying away from, and they're tackling head on, not even with comedy. Wow. They're just doing it with great art. And that is so cool. So yeah, I have so many podcasts to pick from.
How many though? Are you like 50 plus, like on your iTunes? Are we doing that?
I don't listen to iTunes anymore.
Oh really?
Oh, I
Stitcher or what? What are we doing?
That, but Overcast.
Overcast. So you just kind of get the
Pocket Cast. No, iTunes did not work for me.
The whole constant flow is coming through then with Overcast, right?
So we've got probably 75 that I regularly listen to.
That's legit.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you gonna put Two Dope Queens in there as well as your number one, Max?
Sure.
Kat just gave him this look like, is there anything else, dude? No, yeah.
I did give him that look. He has a little bit of PTSD because there was one time we were driving through Japan, and the only thing I had on my phone was Two Dope Queens, and I made him listen to Two Dope Queens back to back to back to back to back.
Through a snowstorm.
Through snowstorms, he's driving and
super slow.
On the wrong side of the road.
Yeah. And I was like, this is the only thing we can listen to right now, and I'm loving it. So
respect that. All right, question number 2.
Yeah,
for both of you guys, where do you see this whole audio movement going? Let me give like a 5 to 7 year outlook. Just how you think it's going to impact people?
I just think people are going to keep growing and growing the audience base of how many people are listening to this sort of information, because it's a lot easier now that we're moving more in the direction of being multitaskers and constantly doing different things and having all of this information accessible in our pockets. It's nice to just kind of sit back and listen sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think more people are going to gravitate towards that. We have so much visual stimulation around us all the time that we can like tune out and listen to a few voices giving us a rundown of something that we're interested in. I think more and more people are going to get into that.
Yeah, I could totally feel you on that. I mean, at times I have trouble watching shows back to back on TV because it's I'm just overstimulated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, looking at how much I already dictate, like every text message. I have not typed a text message since that functionality has been introduced. So we already know that I am a pathological voice texter. If I could, I'd voice text all my emails and dictate them. I don't, but I would. Yeah. Smart speakers are just the rage. In fact, the adoption of smart speakers in home is happening at a quicker rate than the adoption of the original iPhone as that technology. And so we're starting to just see this step back from technology in the conventional sense of I'm sitting and behind a computer or a television screen and consuming things to media. That was me. Media that moves with us. And so
media that moves with us. I like that. Do you mind just going in deeper?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I think about, and the phrase I use is media that moves with us, is it's media you can consume standing up at a blue-collar job if you are illiterate, if you are, trying to learn another language, or if you are old, if you are young, if you are... Oh, sorry, that I should turn off.
It adds so much flavor to the podcast, though. I mean,
that's my meeting invite for... We have 10 minutes.
All right.
But yeah, speaking of technology that moves with us. So in any case, I just see that everything is going to be moving that direction, not necessarily podcasting, but if you even look at sound and just our 5 senses, the very first thing that you experience when you're born, you can see maybe 12 inches in front of you, but you hear. And I've unfortunately been with a number of people as they are passing away. And I can tell you right now, the last thing that goes is sound. So if that's the first thing you get is hearing, and the last thing that leaves you is hearing, I think that this is something that is incredibly undertapped and underplayed, and it's why I'm throwing all of my dice on audio in some fashion, because I truly think it's undertapped, and it's going to keep growing in many ways, not just podcasting. I think like virtual reality for your ears.
That's super cool. I mean, I had no clue about that sound effect there as far as coming and going. That's what we have. I mean, and yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a huge believer in sound. It's one of the reasons why I got into podcasting, because I don't see how we're not going to live without it. Yeah. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, why would I turn this off? I mean, like, why would I not use Echo, Alexa, whatever, to kind of order some stuff for you? It makes my life easier.
Yeah. Growing up, my grandpa was deaf. He had lost his hearing in World War II. Wow. I had a lot of really wonderful old people from my youth and early adulthood. And our best conversations were always about sound. There's nothing like talking to a deaf man about what it's like to hear. And those things always stuck with me. It was like, I got to take advantage of this and build more things for ears.
I feel like there should be a mentor program for people that are between 15 to about 25. They should all be connected with somebody that's 70 plus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because the amount of like just pure wisdom that I feel like a 70 plus year old person. I mean, I see my parents now, they're getting into their 70s, and it's like how you can, really relate like real tactical, practical day-to-day life that's like deep though. So it makes sense.
I'm going to give you a little preview secret. One of the podcasts we're working on is with senior citizens. And it's
man.
Baller.
Yeah.
It's so good.
What's the name of it? Do you mind going to
Cannot tell you.
Absolutely respect that.
But the title is so good.
Keep me in the loop as this comes out. I'm looking for that.
I will.
I mean, and I don't. You would think that with podcasting that it's going to open a door for senior citizens because they have more time.
They were the original radio listeners.
Yeah, they were. This is their thing, really.
We are just interlopers.
Yeah, we're just coming back full circle, trying to jack them from what they were doing back in the 30s and 40s.
That's so true, though.
Yeah.
Now we respect it.
Now they give it love.
Yeah, you're like, Grandpa, have you heard of this thing called podcast?
You mean radio?
Yeah. You mean audio movies? That's what I'm doing.
And so that's it. That's a wrap, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Sales Culture Podcast. If you want to hear the full episode that I did with her last year, her and Max, that is, go check out the Real Value Exchange. It's there. It's twice as long, but I feel like I just tried to boil this down to give you guys some tangible takeaways that are more business relevant. But we tap into, how Aspen's come along and the evolution of Denver and a lot of other topics there. So it was a really fun conversation. And if you're in Denver, highly recommend that you check them out and go to the brand new website. I've updated things a lot because I'm gearing it more towards the employee branding component for salesculture.work. We'll love to get your thoughts and see if it makes sense of what I'm up to, right? So I'm trying things out. I want to give you guys the whole behind the scenes, evolution as I'm building up this agency. And so we'd love to get your feedback on that. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Sales Culture as always. And until next time, you guys be phenomenal.